Welcome to Victory, the podcast. I am Doug Ellin.
I'm Kevin Dillon.
I'm Kevin Connolly. But you know, Doug, the last couple episodes, I know you've been distracted for obvious reasons, but I thought we dropped the name thing.
The name thing?
The last couple episodes, you rolled right into, all right, welcome, Victory the Podcast.
Like accidentally.
We forgot.
You accidentally forgot to do
Yeah,
that.
no, I didn't mean to do that. Connolly's been trying to drop the name thing, which is so weird. You don't like your name or what?
It's not that. I think
I think you got to do it, Kev, for the new listeners.
I think we're past it. I wonder about new listeners.
Kevin doesn't think he doesn't want new listeners. He doesn't
that's
want to
not
make
true.
it bigger. He's like, we're steady. No, you don't
we're
want to be
not-
steady.
No, that's not say. We got it. We after today, next week. Well, are we could say this. We're gonna have Charlie Sheen on
Yeah,
next
Charlie
week.
Sheen's gonna be on.
He's gonna be a good guest.
I thought he was here.
Yeah, he was
told
supposed to be.
gonna-
I don't know. There was some type of miscommunication.
There was a type of
That's all right. We'll see him
miscommunication that
next
I
week.
will
We
say.
have we have done more bad things to Charlie Sheen than he was planning on being here at 11 a.m.
At
but-
least we caught him before he left his
yeah,
house.
and
thank
at least we
God.
didn't get his car towed. That
At
was
least we didn't get his car.
We did-
But we are.
we did put him in a trailer that stunk it like urine, but
We got Charlie coming on next week, and then we are going to get back. We're going to knock out a couple of old school Entourage episodes.
Pauly Shore, I think, is going to come on to the You Got episode.
That would be funny.
Really?
That'd be
Yeah.
funny, right? What do you think?
Hey, I told you I got Scottie Pippen. If you guys want to work that out, I mean, he'd be a great guy to have on
He's got
here.
a
He's
lot
been
to
in the
say.
news a lot lately.
Did anyone follow up, Kevin?
But
I
called-
gave you all the info.
But you gave me so I call the agent and book
Yes,
it?
and he's
Okay.
got a lot of connections.
So we don't really have
I
a
love
really good
Dillon.
guy.
We don't really have an official booker here, so
Well,
things
I mean,
happen.
That's because we don't have a. I'm the fucking booker.
I know, but
I'm
you
the
didn't.
booker.
You didn't do it.
No,
So Dillon
because
sends in. It's like
everybody's-
what happened with Julius Randle. It took Dillon says he's in, and then 7 months later, we're like, did
Everybody's
anyone
all
call
over
him?
the place.
I
They're all
know,
over the
yeah.
place.
I'm
I
always.
mean,
It's not
I'm
like-
still waiting for you guys to call Dale Dye. I promised Dale Dye he was going to be on the show.
I don't like you guys. I'm just an employee here. But what
no,
I
I
will
was going
say
like
is now.
those guys.
They are these
those
guys, all
guys,
those
yes.
guys in the
The evil
booth, the
action
Kevin
partner,
Kerrigan,
the
the
ones,
Scotty Wilson,
the ones
those
we
guys.
now call the meatheads. So
We are the new meatheads. By the way, why wasn't Dale Dye in
The platoon reunion.
the reunion?
well,
Did
you
it-
know
did it
what? He
slip
would have
the
kind of
mind?
dominated it. You know, because he's the captain. We all looked up to him.
A lot of big
So-
personalities in that scene.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're not going to talk too much about the content of the show, but we will
But
talk
there's a
about
platoon reunion. Everybody knows
Yeah.
that.
in a
Which
few
John
moments, though.
McKinley steals every moment of. I mean, that guy is talk about a scene stealer.
Yo,
McGinley's unbelievable.
you and McGinley going toe to toe in a scene trying to steal it from each other is something to watch.
I had no chance.
So I want to get into this in a minute, but first I want to go into other things. But by the way, Connolly has now seen the show, but Kevin Dillon hasn't. But we'll get into that in a minute. I want to talk about it. I just got back from New York. My dad, Marvin, the accountant from the show, I based it on, turned 90.
That's awesome.
March 14th, 1932.
Jesus.
So
That's
we
amazing.
we had a party for my dad, which you guys didn't come to.
How does he
Sent
feel about
gifts.
Yeah,
technology?
I didn't get the invite. You know, it hurt my feelings.
How does he feel about
When you
it?
talk about 1932, when you think about it, I mean, that's like right after the
He's
breakup.
kind of hip to technology, right? I've seen him.
He
with the-
likes it. I mean, my dad's on the phone all
he
the time.
He's so sharp.
And as you know, my dad, since my mother passed away, he likes young things and young technology. So,
What do you mean he likes young
What do you mean,
things?
young?
I
things?
mean, I don't mean like
Young-
illegal, but you know,
pretty little
he
young
likes
pigs.
young women.
No,
and-
young energy.
yeah,
young energy,
Yeah,
right?
but
I mean, I
more
think
more
that's-
young women energy than men. I mean,
Right.
but you know.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. I mean,
Which I don't know. Now in 2022, now that's not okay. But the fact of the matter is
he
you know,
likes to hang around with
men
girls.
like young women. So, and not that he's 90 years old. This isn't a
makes him
sexual
feel young.
conversation. It does make him feel young, and you know they like him. By the way, my father
Yes.
my father has a lot of like young women that just go to dinner with him.
Leslie Judge. She
Yep.
was like she loved hanging out with Marv.
Leslie was at the party. Leslie was at the
Oh, I
party.
didn't,
Marv-
I didn't
Marv-
get the invite.
Marv has a bunch of friends. He really
Yeah,
does.
he does.
Does
He
that
has-
make it easier for you being as far away from him as possible, knowing that he's got a
course.
lot of people around him?
Yeah, and then the party, I mean, listen, when you hit 90, it's hard to find a big party. He had 75, 80 people
my
at this
God.
party.
Right, like at 90, how many friends are left, right?
But
Yeah,
but the saddest thing is, which we were talking about this before we got on the air. His best friend, my uncle, and I'm not talking like friendships that we hope we have. We're going on like 15 or 20 years now. My father met my uncle, not my real uncle, but we called him my uncle, Alan Newman, in 1934. They have been best friends ever since. They were in business together. They moved to the same town. They had kids at the same time. Their kids, they were cousins with us, and he was such a great guy, and he he passed away on my father's 90th birthday, and
There's something universally right about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's
I
kind
know
of
what you're saying.
it's kind of magical, and we were talking about this before we got on faith and whether you feel comfortable with it. And look, I know for my father, when you're 90 and your friends are passing away, obviously you think about your own mortality. I think about mine, and I'm only 53, but I don't know what really goes through people's heads, and you guys were saying Connolly's very religious and believes we're all going to be fine. And
But my parents were devout Catholics, and my mom still is, and it gives her comfort. She's not.
I just remember Dennis Miller's stand-up comedy when we talk about devout Catholics. He's like, "Yeah, I was on a plane with a bunch of devout Catholics. The plane's going down, and they're going to a better place." So I don't know. I'm
Listen,
not a big believer, but I hope you're right.
The lights just don't go out, bro.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. This
Well,
might be a little more.
but what happens?
A little more complicated.
You wake up in
I
Ukraine and they're
let's
bombing
just
you,
say-
or
Let's just say that an ant is never going to understand a volcano. Does that make any sense?
No.
Think about it.
Oh, okay.
It's
You're
just
saying
so complicated that it's nothing that the human brain can comprehend.
Well,
Let's
even
put it
if
that
you're
way.
like really into science, which I am, you still can't explain the Big Bang
Where it
without some
started.
kind of a spiritual thing happening.
Somebody caused
it
the
all
Big
came
Bang.
from nothing.
Somebody started the Big Bang.
Someone did it. Someone.
Well, I wish
started the Big Bang Theory and made a bunch of money.
Fix up. I wish whoever started the Big Bang would fix up a lot of shit that's going on, because I don't know. It's a
We
little.
don't want to
well,
talk about
Yeah,
it.
we don't want to get depressing, but the party was amazing. My father was great, and again, I just want to say, Al Newman, my uncle, he was like a second father growing up.
He's
and-
he's in another place, bro. I'm not saying he's watching you, because God only knows that'd be terrible, especially late at night when you're stoned.
God knows what you get up to at night.
But yeah, like I said, the lights don't go out, so it's all right, bro.
I hope you're right. So, all right.
Anyway,
so
Jesus Christ.
All right,
that's
so, you
depressing.
guys,
For the
I don't
fucking
know.
love of God.
Well, I guess
Whoa,
more
sorry,
depressing.
I apologize.
Hey.
I apologize. I took
taking
the Lord's name in
But,
vain.
but so since you guys are talking long-term friendships, and I like to hope that you guys will be around when we're 80, 90, I hope so. But apparently Jerry Ferrara's in town, and I'm the only one who doesn't know. So what's up with that?
yeah, we're gonna.
Well, we're gonna play golf. You know?
You muttering, stuttering pricks.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't golf
I don't want to be
anymore.
invited to your golf
Well,
fucking game. I won't
you would
come. How
Slow
about
the
that?
game down.
Well, I think
because
we
don't
should
play.
we should
Kevin
set up a
Dillon
meal.
can tell you
for
about
sure.
my swing. I haven't even heard from the guy. I didn't know
I
he
mean, if
was
we
here.
want to play pickleball,
Well,
like,
he
you're
wanted
the
to
guy.
golf, so
Like,
he
golf.
he texted
By
me
the
about
way,
golf and
do
texted
you
Kevin.
hear how you two are defending? I'm not even attacking him. I'm just saying I didn't know he was in town. That's it. He
Well,
doesn't
you
owe
said-
me
but
anything.
You have a very. I mean, you look at you. You look like you fucking.
I'm a
you know.
little sad. I would like to think that Jerry comes to town and says, "Hey, you know who I want to call? Doug." Even if I'm after Kevin and Kevin, like he's
Well,
so
of course
close with
you're
you
gonna be
guys,
after
but
us. Of course
you know,
Well, I mean, he's only human.
Exactly.
I also had my good friend Scott Lerner ran into Adrian at something the other day and said, "Why aren't you in the new show?" And he said, "I'm just waiting for an offer." So
He didn't say that.
that's what he apparently Scott Lerner says. That's what he said.
Is it possible that Scott Lerner's full of shit, or he's
No, I don't think so.
Right.
I'm now either Adrian was joking or not, but
Right, sure.
I think I've made enough overtures to everybody. We'd love you all involved with this
What's an
new show.
overture exactly?
It's like an invitation,
like a broad invitation,
Yeah,
right? Like in
it's-
the beginning of an old movie, it would be the overture,
I
right?
mean,
Like, please take your seats.
yeah.
come one, come
I
all.
don't
I mean,
want
it
to
would
go.
be great. It would be great to have everyone do little bits and
Yeah,
pieces
I
on
mean,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, Dillon got a little nervous there. You see that? Like bits and pieces. They're not
No,
taking
it's
your
not,
role.
Quit spitting
Don't forget
quit
who's
spitting into
top of the
microphone.
call sheet there.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Are you top of the call sheet again, Kev?
Unfortunately, I am.
This
yeah.
is an outrage. By the
I
way,
am.
it's only because it's alphabetical. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Theoretically,
I just want to say this. You know me.
I do know you.
I'm an erotic guy.
Yes, you are.
I have a negative energy
Super
a lot
negative.
of times.
Most of the time.
Now I don't know if we had 10 episodes that were as good as this one episode, where it's a home run. And I'm not saying that because of me, because there are 100 people whose hands are on this thing that
Right.
made this thing great. You guys are fucking unbelievable. And what I will say, because I was actually talking to our friend here, producer Foxman's got his friends from Wisconsin here, are fans of Entourage, and we were talking.
They were hoping we would cover an episode of Entourage, but we're
No, they don't
we're
care.
going
They
well.
actually wanted Paulie Shore here for the You Got episode, and we're going to get him next week, I hope.
Nice.
So, but we were talking about this because Dillon, everyone loves you. We know that. Who is really the closest to me on this show, guys
trip.
just didn't fucking love
They do
him.
now, though. They've grown. I've matured
A little bit.
on it. Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
no,
the world has matured.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the character Eric Murphy has grown.
It's evolved.
Has
But I
evolved
think that
right.
the character of Kevin Connolly on this new show is better than E. I think he's a better character than E.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro. I have a very serious question for you, Doug. Do you mind me getting a little Joe Rogan on you?
Is this a COVID question?
No, it's
Yeah.
touche. Doug. Touche. Pretty funny.
Thanks.
You've worked. I mean, what I've seen you do over the last couple months, like
Yeah.
you've really fucking put the pedal to the metal and really you've hung your ass out a long way on this one.
Yeah.
And you seem incredibly confident, right?
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, do you worry about anything?
Well, there's confidence.
Do you understand my question?
I do. There's confidence.
Because you're out there, bro.
But there's confidence in the work. And then there's confidence that the world will embrace you and will sell
right.
it.
I'll go into the hand of the movie gods, so to speak. But you're 100% confident.
But
in the
aren't we
work.
all out there? You know,
Well,
I mean,
you're talking about like I'm on the limb that people are waiting for the show. Like, what are they going to do?
No,
Like,
I'm saying not like I'm not talking about the weird culture. I'm talking about you're out there, right?
Saying I got a
Creatively,
show.
You're out there creatively. You're we've built it up, and I believe rightfully so. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe it. I know now. I've seen it. It backs up the hype. But do you
guess-
have?
I guess
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
You
do.
get my
But
question?
at 53 right now, I mean, my thing is I want to work because I really enjoyed it. Money is not my goal in life. So,
must be nice.
it is mine.
but my point is that I really loved this process and
Oh, it was
working
awesome.
with you guys
was
and
great.
Charlie and everybody else. So I really wanted to go because I want to keep enjoying myself, and I don't want to go. Even though my pickleball game is just. Actually, can I tell you, my pickleball game is lagging. These motherfuckers, this fucking Matt and Julio, all these guys I play with that I used to think I was as good at,
Are they just getting better?
they're just getting,
They're getting better
and
while you're
better, and
being
I'm
an aging
I'm
screenwriter. And
aging.
they're getting better.
Yeah, that's a reference. Marty Fish, a famous tennis player, called me an aging screenwriter, which I guess I am. It's not even nasty.
You told a professional tennis player to get to the fucking net.
Yeah.
Right?
By the way,
I can
a
imagine that
goddamn
not
good
going-
professional tennis player.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You
so
know, I feel that when your career is going well, like for me, my golf game will kind of gets a little worse.
Yeah.
Because you're doing so well, you're working a lot.
So
That's what's
pickleball
happening.
guys, Wes and Matt
Sure.
and Julio. As soon as my career ends again, I'm going to be kicking your ass. I might be 70.
We'll
but
see
anyway.
you soon.
But anyway, I love this. Not just the content of this show. I love this group so much that I would like it to continue. But if you're asking me, do I have any fears of how good this pilot is? Now, you know my fears as a writer. I go,
Right.
oh God, what's episode 2? I'm having nightmares about that already.
That would be a good problem to have, obviously.
Yeah,
Cadillac problems.
Yeah, but I think that the show is amazing. I think that top to bottom, this cast it's mind-boggling. I'm being serious. Like you three, Charlie's incredible. He's back as good as he's ever been in anything, in my opinion. And the same for you. And just
I think Dillon threw a perfect game.
yeah, you know what he was saying? Like on day 3, Dillon's like
I said Dillon 6 innings in. Dillon is 6 innings into a perfect game right now.
yeah, and Dillon
Yeah,
just had.
that could curse a perfect game, by the way.
Nah, that's why I
many
didn't-
no hitters have been cursed that
by the way,
That's why I didn't say anything to you.
he almost
You
cursed
did say
me
something
once.
to me.
And I want to talk about one thing without giving away any of the details.
I know what you're going to say. I know
Dillon-
you like a fucking
Because
book.
Dillon you were in such a great mood. You were so good. This one scene
You thought the
we
perfect
did-
game was in jeopardy?
Oh my God. Like there was fucking a 3-2 count like on 5 guys in a row. The scene at the pool, we don't
Yeah.
have to talk about it. Were you frustrated by the writing? Were you tired? Tell me what was going on there. And
I thought it should have been different from the get-go. And I'm not saying it didn't work. I haven't seen it yet.
It
and
works.
It felt good, and I feel like we added some dialogue, which
Yep.
made it better.
I had a couple
always-
jokes. I threw a couple jokes in
I
there.
don't know if you remember me saying this should be me in like a bar nightclub,
Yep.
hanging with the boys, doing shots, and I step out to talk because I wanted to make it, lively. I'm still, even though I'm talking about something that could be,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
Touchy.
I
Right.
might allowed to say a little depressing or whatever.
But I'll tell you, when I watch it now, I think all of your comments and all of your thoughts, both of you guys, it really does. It helps so much because I think we figured it out that night.
Yeah.
How to make absolutely certain we didn't bring it down the way you wanted
Yeah.
to, you know?
If
I mean,
I-
the way you thought it might.
But yeah, no, because you added the funny lines that were added on,
Yep.
kind of just really made it. I feel played.
Yeah.
And that's how you
In a
know
different way.
Dillon. That's how you know Dillon likes jokes,
Yeah.
that he accepts them.
Yeah.
Right? So if he's willing to add 3 lines
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the dialogue. You're like, yo,
Two lines.
you know, Dillon thinks
Two
it's
lines.
funny.
Yeah.
It was a little,
No, I liked
but
it.
it was a little.
Just so you know why we're
It was
counting
wordy.
lines is because Connolly's very happy that he wrote a couple of lines.
You're
not getting a screenwriting
I don't want a
credit, so-
screenwriting credit. I don't think I deserve a screenwriting credit. I was simply using my knowledge of the podcast world. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking like,
It was great.
the minute Dillon was like, okay, and he kind of waved it off, but I'm like, all right, Dillon thinks it's funny, or else he would have just shot it down
Yeah.
and said, I'm not saying
But I
it.
think
Well,
it's so
I waved it
important.
off, and then I tried to say it. I said, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, you got it. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, my point is that I knew that you thought, okay, this is annoying because it's new. But
I didn't prepare this,
I didn't
but
prepare this, but it is funny, so I'll say
it's
it.
funny.
Why I love working with you guys and by the way, Charlie to Kamiko Glenn to Harvey Guillen and Jamie
love the
Lynn
cast. You love
and-
everybody.
and Sarah and Zulai.
Yeah.
You love everybody.
Don't cut me
Keep
off. I
talking
want to
about
mention
it. Yeah, you
everybody.
keep talking
I
about
mean, I do. I love them.
Love everybody. It's a great cast.
Love them all. But my point is that when you
Great cast. Make
guys
it done.
come in and really think about the script and really talk about it, it helps. And I don't, we've talked about this before. Most showrunners, it doesn't happen. It's like,
No.
here's your pages and fucking do it.
Learn them, and that's
Dude,
it.
I had a great thing. Doug was on an airplane, so I got to make editing notes, which is like a dream come true.
But I think it's funny that you're one of my best friends. I know you 20 years, and like you're like nervous. I'm like, call the editor and tell him what you want to do.
Necessarily traditional for an actor to give notes on scenes that he's not in.
I've never had that.
Right.
I've never been able to get editing notes.
Right.
to
It's
give
not
ed-
traditional
editing
for a
notes.
writer to put up his own money and find one of his best friends
none
to
of
put
this
up their
is.
money.
definitely-
I've never done a pilot where you have.
We're breaking the mold, and I think everybody. I got so many letters from people in the cast that were like, "This was the best experience
Emails?
I had."
Like not handwritten
no,
letters.
not
Right.
like on
Well,
a
I don't-
quill,
I
not
don't
with
know.
like a fucking, I
Oh,
mean,
there you go. Little feather with a little ink thing. But Doug,
Yeah, I mean, I must have called you 5 times with little. Oh, Doug, look, can we change this to that?
Yeah.
and it was perfect. It was,
yeah. But
and
your
you were
notes,
so cool about it.
your
though.
notes in the swinger scene though, which all I want to say to you is I want you to going forward because I believe we're going to go forward. I want you to just not approach it that you're worried that I'm going to shoot it down. That we all feel like I want to hear what you have to say because I think you guys you have really good thoughts and insights on. Obviously, these characters are some version of you, and they're not exactly you. You know, I actually think where E is not as
But
cool
you
as
can even say it with disdain. You're like, with the fucking drip that I wrote for 10 years.
But how E is
Now
not
he's
as
blaming me.
cool as Kevin Connolly.
Well, he never was.
Kevin
I've
Connolly-
been saying that for years.
This Kevin Connolly, who owns Action Park Media, is not as cool as the Kevin Connolly who owns
Are
Action
you
Park Media on
out
the
of your
show.
fucking mind? Right. Fair enough. Split the
He
difference.
wrote you cooler than you are.
Split the difference.
Yeah. And people, by the way, the thing they always said about E was, how does he get these women? They're going to say the same thing about Zulai, who's his real girlfriend.
And that's my real baby,
I'm telling you, that's
Looks
the
like
first
my
thing.
baby.
I showed some friends who knew nothing about it in New York, and they're like,
Here we go again.
Yeah, they're
Here
like,
we go again.
they're
Connolly
like,
out kicking his coverage.
they're like, did you really have to cast this hot woman for Connolly's girlfriend? I'm like, that's his fucking his wife.
It's baby mama. You know? We're life partners, bro. Doug, listen, you're skirting the question. You see how
Tell me,
see
what's
how
the question?
skirted that?
Tell me.
I guess.
He's on
I
his
guess
phone.
no, I'm
He's
not.
distracted.
I'm
what are you doing?
distracted.
Business?
Yeah,
What-
there's other things going on, bro. You're not
You're
the
working
only-
on the Wet
you're not
Jeans
you
podcast
ain't
right
Kelly
now?
Stafford, bro. You ain't Kelly Stafford.
Is she bigger than us right now?
She is, yeah.
She
No,
is?
she's not.
Yeah.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she is.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
Why would I make that up?
Okay, this is
Wow.
ridiculous.
This
I may
Sad.
quit.
No, that's what I'm saying. Why I think we gotta. But whatever. We'll talk about.
Oh,
that
we got it.
offline.
Like
That's-
maybe we got to
we'll talk
promote.
about that.
First rule of podcast: promote. Yeah.
I don't want to say you're skirting because I think I know where you're going, but I'd like to hear a clear. I want to know how you feel about. You're really good at like generating this kind of like buzz. Like every single person that I see around knows about it, right? And I again, whatever. Say what you want. There's two different ways to do it. Like for me, I don't know. I might have been like, all right, I might have started talking now. I guess. Like,
know
now
what?
that I've seen a cut. I guess my question is, what are your fears moving forward?
My fears are I think what I said to you guys is everyone in this cast is so good. I have no
Oh,
contracts.
you've definitely mentioned that a few
No,
times.
but I have no contracts with anybody, and I think everybody, when people see this, they're gonna people are gonna go, "Why is Kevin Dillon not starring on a major fucking show or movie all the time. And I know you're working, but I mean, why is Kevin Connolly running a podcast studio and not starring on a show? Charlie Sheen, when people, this is not anger management. I'm not making fun of that. This is not whatever the show he did after that. This is a whole different thing. So my fears are that, somebody could disappear and have to do something else. Or,
Well, I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about what are your creative fears?
I don't really have any creative fears. The writing process for me is always torturous. This pilot was actually far easier than anything I've written because it is so much of my life because I have lived this the last couple of years. But, you're always going forward now. I've got this pretty big cast for 30 minutes. How do I service everybody? How do I not get Dillon wanting to kill me if he doesn't have enough? So I wake up with shit like that that's irrelevant to now. But as you say, as far as marketing,
I'm talking about the perception.
But as far as the marketing perception,
like selling it and doing all these kinds of things.
I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm serious. Like, if you're asking me, like, would I be embarrassed if I got a big egg on my face because I'm out there?
I'm not asking you like in an aggressive
way.
I'm
I
asking
know.
you as your friend. Do you feel pressure?
I don't because I feel like number one, we've talked about this on this show. I know how good Entourage was, and the 3 years or 4 years of this weird culture shift where a bunch of loudmouths started turning the narrative on it. I know, number one, that's not true. Number two, Entourage was a special time for all of us, and we love it. This has potential to be bigger and better because it feels more accessible to a lot more people than Entourage did. And that's nothing against Entourage, but at the end of the day, Entourage was about 4 young guys in their 20s who,
It was more wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Sort of aspirational, and this is a little more grounded and real.
Yeah, and why,
It's also not really fair to yourself to put it in the same bucket as Entourage because it really is.
Yeah, but it's also I've grown, as a writer and as a whatever else it is, and as I said, Sideways was one of my inspirations for this show and one of my favorite movies, and I feel like we nailed that tone. Sometimes you watch your show after you shoot it and you go, damn, I really thought that was going to be different. Everything in this show is better than it was on the page to me. Everything.
Right. Wait, Doug, just real quick, Sideways, did that come before Entourage?
No,
or
after.
Because I swear to God, that guy stole a little Johnny Drama thing. He was great. Don't get me wrong.
The first time I saw it, I said, "Okay, that's Johnny Drama." But I
felt that too.
There was a book though that came first, and
Alexander Payne and Tarantino stealing from Johnny Drama.
Yeah, but again, those are two of the best. And either way, when you see actors playing actors on the screen, Johnny Drama, Thomas Hayden Church in that movie, those are
he was great.
Leo in Once Upon a Time, those are some of the best performances of people in Hollywood. But I feel really more than anything about this, I feel really good that it's an amazing group of people that are all committed to the same thing. Whereas on Entourage, we had a lot of bullshit. You
have no creative fears. It's just fears of like, Jesus Christ, what if Dillon is all of a sudden the new James Bond or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's it.
Or more like the new Ninja Turtle or something. I just signed 7 years as the new Ninja Turtle.
Right. So your fears really lie in the logistics of keeping everybody together and making sure everybody gets paid and taken care of and doing all that.
And also that because we're into this thing without any plan. So the truth is, I trust you guys implicitly, but you guys could fuck me. You guys could say, I'm not working for X amount of dollars. I'm not working for this. And the truth is, I have no control over that right now because we have to find a network and a home for this that wants to distribute it. Yeah. But I feel really good about the work, and I don't think anyone's going to see this is going to be disappointed. So I want to get rolling. And my other fear is, we're getting older, man. It's like, I have friends who've now died, which is like weird, of like natural causes, not like they got in a car accident. So, it's time to work, and it's time to really make the last chapter of our careers work.
That'd be so dramatic.
We're young.
You still got some gas in it. You got some gas in the tank, bro. You haven't turned the corner yet, bro. Trust me. You're good to go. I hear what you're saying.
I got a couple of years on you, Doug, so stop freaking me out, man.
You're just saying like you want to get back into that like high drive.
I just want to get back in. I loved shooting so much. Like, this is the first time, I remember where shooting did not feel stressful. I couldn't wait to get to the set the next day.
You were a dream, dude.
Yeah, you were fun.
You
were different than you were on Entourage.
Way different.
There was no one standing over me. There was no one judging me.
Is it maturity or more of an appreciation for it? Like, what was different about it this time
I think the thing that you guys know about me, I'm a control freak, but at the same time, I'm very collaborative.
You were not a control freak.
So, but when someone
Not
is
on this show.
when
No.
someone is
Crazy.
above me telling me what to do, though, as opposed to discussing it, that's when it's it's not enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
So,
Kevin, you touched on something earlier, which I was thinking it's so true, and it's always a weird adjustment period. Now, granted, whatever we shot, 7 or 8 days or whatever it was, I go into such a black hole that when I come out on the other end, there's no golf round. There's no golf rounds. You're behind on everything. You just fall into a black hole when you're shooting for 8 days. Like everything just gets punted to after, right?
I was basically living out of a '69 Camaro convertible,
Right.
going from hotel to
Hotel to hotel.
from location to location. It was really cool, actually.
Yeah.
It was like living like a wild man,
right.
living
You were like a
out of my
nomad
car,
for a second.
nomad.
Yeah, but it also, because it's almost impossible for me to not sound like I'm being sarcastic, but because of your like Instagram shenanigans, people are like, oh, they're shooting. Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I mean, even like everybody knew that like, Kevin's not responding today.
right.
It's because they're shooting. And then that ends. And then you're like, oh my God, then the emails are backed up and you got to call this. It just, we were in it 8 days.
Well,
and I just felt like it's just like being
How
in a
many days was
coma.
it? It was more than 8.
It was
wasn't
it was 8 days with the pickup day.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
With the pickup day.
But it's weird because I mean, for the last 5 years, I've essentially been retired. The podcast to me is not work. This is like we show up, we talk to
It
each
is
other.
for me, yeah. I'll be editing this for 2 hours after you're fucking stoned on the couch with gummies.
I will not be stoned on the couch with gummies. I'm actually working on the
the
going forward
season
story
arc.
document.
This is what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. I mean, I love it. You're moving forward
So wait,
as if.
you're saying you're writing episode 2? So
I'm not writing episode 2, but I'm coming up with what the season arc is, which I
got
never
you.
did on
I got you.
Entourage,
I
which
like
is
it.
also a terrible thing. Like I was sitting there with Entourage writing episode 2, having no idea what episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 was. So now I'm trying to actually have like a plan that makes my life a little easier.
Somebody's going to look at this, and if they're interested in buying it, they're going to say, well,
where are you going from here?
where you go from here? Like, what's the end of season 1? Like, what's the cliffhanger of season 1? What's
But I think the good news
Which,
that-
by the way, I'm curious myself.
I think you have a good feeling though that when you see this, you feel the show. You know what the show is. Obviously, there's a million ways to go with it. But what Connolly always did to me on Entourage, and I know that's coming now, is like, oh, there's a lot of pressure now. What's the next
need a
episode?
big finale.
What's that going to be?
The finale. He always pressured you on the finale. Right?
It's torture. You know what he did?
It's just
Did we talk about this
It's
already?
just a locker room.
Did we
pep
talk
talk.
about the cinematography conversation yet? Did that happen? here? So
don't know.
Connolly in the middle of the shoot, we got producer Ted, who's got Ted Foxman's got a shitload of money in this thing.
We talked about it.
We did?
We talked about it.
Did we?
Yeah.
All right,
I
well.
said it was dark. It looked like a horror movie. I was joking around.
Oh, yeah,
Doug.
yeah.
How does it look now, Kev?
It looks amazing.
Dave
It looks
Perkle
amazing.
did an incredible
And
job.
I will say this, and come on, man. You know me, Kev. I don't watch myself
No.
at all. I never would. I just recently started watching episodes of Entourage when we started doing the podcast. But I will say that I do look pretty handsome.
I like myself.
I like myself.
Am I allowed to talk to see? Even though you like to pick on me, I don't pick on you. But
Oh, no, you don't pick on me at
Connolly
all.
called me up after a couple of cocktails late at night, and he goes,
Drunk dialed you.
I just watched it. He goes, "This is the first time I've ever seen myself look like a man," and I'm serious.
I
He
love
does.
myself.
The truth is, look, you guys know this. It's never going to
I am
happen.
48.
I get it. Hopefully,
About
Connolly's-
time I look like a man.
Hopefully,
Probably
Connolly's
the crow's feet.
But hopefully Connolly's right that the lights don't go up. But this show started 2 years ago because I said, I'm going to star in a show. I'm going to act it. And the truth is, there's a little...
better that it was me.
Of course it is. But there's a little Kevin Connolly in me. You're the Irish version. And you do. You look great. And honestly... all of you people who ever questioned Kevin Connolly's acting, you're so good.
The Hollywood Foreign Press never questioned it.
What'd you give them, by the way, to get that?
Bought him Rolexes. Rollies for everyone.
The Hollywood Foreign Press would distree, as well as the Academy.
I'm really like
television,
I said,
science,
I'm
and
going
arts.
to the editing room tonight. This is probably it for at least until if we
When
sell
do
it,
I get to see it?
you can see it Monday. You can
Kev,
see it tomorrow,
you know
really,
what,
if you
Kev,
want. But
honestly, at this point, you should just wait till Monday,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Because I don't know. For
Well,
those
we're going out to lunch tomorrow, so I don't know.
for people listening, the important part of the process is a sound mix, and it is to filmmakers or people listening. The sound mix is crucial to your
especially with a dialogue-heavy show,
Right. I mean,
to
it's
any
like,
show,
and
but
it's like the show looks great because it's shot on film, but that's going to go. But there's something. The ear is quicker than the eye, so even if you think you know, it
scientific.
always gets it just gets better. The quality almost doubles when you do a sound pass. So I'm just ready for.
By the way, the eye
be-
is quicker than the ear. Just so you know that.
I don't
You're
think so.
totally backwards on that.
No.
Yes.
You know, when he said that, I was like, the guy's getting
Speed
scientific.
of light is faster than the speed of
But I
sound.
guess also, Dillon, what he's
I'm talking
saying
about
is,
the human.
Yeah, so am I, bro.
as opposed to what?
I'm saying when you're watching something on TV, a disturbance in the sound will bump you quicker than a disturbance in the visuals.
So if the screen went black, it would be less disturbing than if someone didn't have a word come out of their
I don't know
mouth.
what you're talking about. Are you stoned already,
anyway, I
bro?
got a
Is this guy
question
stoned?
though. The opening, the title sequence when they
We don't have
run
one.
the credits. I
don't
know.
have
What are you thinking about for that?
You know what? So everybody should know this. The first thing I want to say, though, is about this show being doubly as good if we get our sound done. Connolly, what he's saying is he's going to be double the man. So he's going to
You're
be
so corny.
So
bro.
he'll
Doubly
almost
manly.
be a full man. Man.
almost, very almost.
Doug said to me yesterday, I was like, dude, I feel bad. I don't want to give the editor. No, I already feel like I already gave a bunch of notes. I was like, no, you can give notes. You're me, just smaller. I said, I guess
mini
that-
me. You're a mini me.
I guess that's a compliment. Yeah, I guess
You were not called small once in the show.
Well-
and the interesting thing is, you fought. I wrote a line that you were 5'8". I'm not talking about what it is, but Connolly was like, just fucking make it
come on,
5'7",
bro.
or people are
like,
gonna yell.
like it almost is like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just a
Is
blatant
5'7"
lie.
true, though?
Yeah.
Like full 5'7",
Yeah, 5. Right now, you put me up against the wall. I'm 5'7".
with shoes on.
With my shoes on.
Put him up against the wall. Yeah, what are you talking about?
So okay, so
So
your
I
question
was thinking
Yeah.
some cool music as the title scene. Do you have any ideas what you were thinking? Because I was thinking some Kings of Leon. There's a couple tunes.
Dylan loves Kings of Leon.
Me too.
No, some of the older stuff. We almost went with it with Entourage.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
almost I think
Yeah.
maybe that could work here.
Well, the question is, I mean, first of all, just so people know how a title sequence usually works, you usually actually hire a company
It's a separate company.
that comes in. That nothing to do with the music necessarily, because on Entourage, like I picked Funk 49 was my pick for the title sequence. It was
Yeah.
in the script, and it ended up being the last song in season 1. It didn't work for the title sequence. And then they brought to me, I think his name was Maurice, who came up with that title sequence. He brought me that song, which I'd never heard in my life, and
Man,
it instantaneously just worked, you know?
Did he knock that one out of the park?
Yeah.
Now, that
Yeah.
was, and again, we
a
talk about
long
this. So,
night.
so it's a separate, the title sequence is a complete separate company. And Kev, do you remember? So back in those days, obviously we were working probably 13, 14 hours a day. And then that was on Saturday.
Yeah, that was
So that
rough.
was Saturday into Sunday morning. And then we had to be at work again on Monday.
Yeah.
And we just drove around in a van. And we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're just we're driving around in the car. I'm just like sitting there in the car, like with my head back.
We
like,
all had to
resting
shut the
between
door
takes.
at the exact same time. We must
Right.
have done that 20 times with the overhead
It's
camera.
so
But
great.
the first time I saw the Entourage opening
yeah,
title sequence, I
amazing.
was like, "Holy fuck!" I don't even, I would. It's the only thing I remember is being in a car.
Can I tell
It
you
was such
right
a-
now? You said, "What are my creative fears?" I swear to God, that's one of my biggest fears. That
What?
we don't have a great title sequence. I've watched a bunch of
I-
shows lately, and the ones that have bad titles, I hate
Well,
them.
I
But
don't,
Doug, to pitch this, don't you need something
I don't
to
know.
show them?
No,
or-
definitely not.
No, you don't
and
need it.
not
No,
only
okay.
that, dare I say that I don't think you need a title sequence quite like the traditional. I don't think we need like a title sequence as elaborate as Entourage, in my opinion.
I mean, premium cable shows
Gotta
good
have it.
title sequences, and I don't know.
We
And
gotta have it on
Honestly,
this.
I just remember every time the Entourage theme song plays, you get pumped up. So you got to find the right thing now. So what I was gonna do is, and I actually made a little overture to him because we know Scott Venner, who I got banned from Instagram for threatening to beat him in pickleball with my phone. I
we've
did
heard
reach
that.
out to him because the music in the show, to be honest with you, I wanted something like original score from like Gary Clark Jr. I wanted like some blues stuff, but that's not necessarily the title sequence. So I did reach out to Venner yesterday, even though. You know, Venner, he's musically he's brilliant, but he's Mr. fucking negative.
He's
So
got a lot of thoughts. Did you show him the cut?
no, not yet. So
you're
and
gonna
he,
get
by the way,
his-
he hasn't asked yet, which is like it's like a weird standoff. I think he can claim it's not, but I think it is. So
Right.
he hasn't said what's going on with this show. What is it?
He's
anything like
waiting
that.
on the call.
He's waiting on the
Or
call.
you
and-
come begging for his vocal talents.
And you kind of, and you kind of did. You called them, and
I reached out.
Finally
What did you
broke
say?
down. You broke down and
You
said,
said, "I want you."
I said I need a song. And by the way,
Kevin, don't ever say I want you ever again.
you.
but by the way, he sent me
I want you.
instantaneously.
I never
Venner
wanted
sent me
anyone.
a song, song. He doesn't know what the show is. He doesn't know what it's about. He, within 3 seconds, I was on a plane, sent me a song, and it was actually a very good song. But it wasn't necessarily.
I think we could dial up the music in the rough cut.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well.
But is Vetter staying
let me
hip
deal with
to
that.
all the newest stuff? Or do we want
yeah.
that? Because the new shit is terrible.
Well,
I mean, the music today is kind of...
well, listen, you don't want to sound like a grandfather, even though this is whatever. But Venner is...
He can say the music today, right? I agree.
I know. Everyone says that. Every 20 years, everybody says that. They hate the people's music. People, my parents hated rock and roll, and everybody hated it. Anyway, Venner knows what's good and what's not. This show is a retro show. There should be some old school vibes to it, but I do think it's certainly in the opening scene, which I don't want to talk about, could be something new and fresh,
A little upbeat,
and I haven't touched the music yet. And while you're giving your musical thing, for really at the beginning of Entourage, I was responsible for a lot of the music, and even Lucifer, when it was at the end of episode 1, which Venner played for me in his car. I didn't even know Venner knew music. The second he played it, I said, I know where that's going, and then I added that wide shot of you guys outside the mansion after. I hope you know what you're doing, Pizza Boy. So anyway, Venner is great at it.
But the other thing too, worth mentioning to people listening, is that because we're not clearing this for air, we could literally, for purposes of showing
we
it to
could
people,
use anything.
We could literally use Rolling Stone songs. Now that's
kind of like we do here.
That's
We'd have to take him out later.
That's a slippery slope, because if you become, that's the problem with putting in temp music. You become attached to it, and then if you can't clear it, then it loses.
I'm not a big fan of that, because I think when sometimes you're putting music in as a crutch. And
so any filmmaking thing, they'll always say that, like, let the music add to it, but the minute you use music as a Band-Aid, you got other problems in your cut.
What I can tell you very clearly is this show doesn't need a lot of music. This story, this comedy, this drama, you guys, it holds itself very well together, and a lot of the music is background. What we 100% need is our great ending credits song, which I told Venner already, of course I want it to be Ramble On. I don't want the theme song to this show to be Ramble On, but I would love the last song of episode 1 to be Ramble On, which...
Now, do you use it for the cut, the sales cut? Because you're never getting the song.
Why do you say that? We got Going to California.
You got Going to California, but that was different, and
Did you
I
have
think
to
this
pay
is a
a
lot
lot
more
for that?
expensive. Yeah, it was
Why was it different? What do you mean?
Wasn't it? Because it was a one-time.
I'm saying just for the...
I think it's a bigger Zeppelin song. Ramble On is bigger than Going to California. But what did we pay for?
Like
almost $1 million for that last scene
and it
of
took like
Entourage.
6 months to get, but...
They had to send, dude, Doug had to send 2 people over to 2 different people's houses and sit outside with the DVD of the finale, where they had to watch it separately and then decide.
I think now, though, they're more, again, it's more about
They've
money
gotten
now.
tougher, right?
No, but I think they've gotten now, it's just like a number. I don't think it was that easy to get Led Zeppelin, no matter who you were or what you wanted. And Venner, I don't know how we pulled all of that off, but Venner was involved in it. He already put one of his negative comments, you're gonna start the end Entourage on Go to California and start this one on Ramble On, whatever. It's a great song. And by the way, the interesting thing is, which I don't know if the young man in there, Ramble On or no? You know Led Zeppelin?
Yeah, I've heard it a few times, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'm telling you, the people under 35 don't even associate this. I've been getting all these calls from people. I love the name. I'm like, yeah, I just would love to get the song. They're like, what song? And I mean, we've gotten into a different generation. So not all the young people know Led Zeppelin. I would like to end the pilot up.
Am I allowed? No, but am I allowed to say that? I don't even know if it's true.
I don't understand
about the clearance to get songs.
What
from
about
Zeppelin? So I don't even know if this is true. Somebody told me this. I heard it somewhere. So this might be false. And if it is, you tell me and we'll cut it out. But you pay them a fee up front to consider it. And they keep that fee regardless. If they should go with it, that fee goes against the cost of the song.
I mean, whether
is that true?
Whether it's true or
not. Did you hear that, or did I make that up?
I heard it from you.
Okay.
Whether it's true or not, we should leave it in here because it doesn't matter. If it's, it would be crazy to me if it is true, but I have no idea. I don't know.
And by the way, somebody told me that, and at the time it felt like, so you would have to pay them $1 million for them to go, okay, we'll listen to it.
I know we did.
And if they decide that they don't, they keep the $1 million.
That's a scam.
How the fuck's that possible?
I know we had a song in Entourage, and I'm forgetting what it was now, but fuck. I don't want to say, it might have been ludicrous, but I don't know. 100%, whatever the song was, they said, send over a Bentley, and then we will talk about it, whether we want to do this. It was season 1. And I don't even remember what happened. That they legitimately.
Now, is there an unspoken word? Like, if you get the Bentley, you get the song.
You know what? I
Could
don't
they
know.
keep the Bentley and not keep and not give you the song?
We didn't do it. We didn't have any money for a Bentley
And
or
a
anything.
Bentley
so-
costs what?
A few hundred
half a
grand,
mi- half a-
half a million.
Depends which one, but the one. What 50 had a Rolls Royce, I think.
I mean, there's
a Phantom, right?
there's
But
still-
that was
there's a
probably
bu-
$1 million
there's a-
car that he
right.
brought on the
I was
show.
gonna
He brought his
say,
own car.
yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
He literally shipped his own car out for the scene, 50 Cent. But I think that I would love to get Ramble On to end episode 1. I don't want it as the theme song. I want to find something that really works, but if he's listening, because I found out
He's not.
people are listening, but Gary
Not.
Clark Jr.
Gary Clark Jr. is not listening.
If Gary Clark Jr. did an original blues score, little rock blues score, I think it'd be very.
That's impossible. You know what? I have to say we've talked about Dillon's '69 Mustang.
Yeah.
On here, right? So by the way, it's a sweet ride, man. It's right. It's
Yeah, it's
Is
a-
that
it's-
is
it's a
that
great car.
considered mint condition? Of course, right?
That's considered maybe a little under mint.
Right. It feels mint to me.
But it's
I don't know.
really, really clean.
It's in really,
Yeah.
really, really
I mean,
good shape.
A couple small things I could do to make it mint.
And Dillon is make it mint. I love
What do we got to do to make you mint, Dillon? How close are you?
And Dillon is in his car, and Charlie and I are sitting there, and he's like, "Is that Kev's real car?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I used to do that." I'm like, "How many?" He said, "I had a bunch." I said, "How many do you have?" He said, 350.
Wait, who's
350?
Charlie?
Charlie
what?
Sheen had 350 muscle cars.
What?
Yep.
I mean,
And I said, "That's exactly what I said."
Oh my
what?
God.
Oh my God! It's pretty much exactly what I said. And
I had about 11 at one stage.
he had
Yeah,
350, and I said, "Well, what kind of cars?" And he literally was like, "Just name it." I'm pretty sure it was in there.
the stories coming out of Charlie.
I mean, it's wild.
I'm
I've
trying
said
to
it
ex-
before. If it were anybody else besides Charlie or maybe Mike Tyson, I'd go, "This fucking guy's a liar."
I'm trying to explain this to people so they can understand. Jordan Belfort, good friend of mine, and Barry Gesser, who we've talked about on this show, who passed away. They were two guys who would do shit with money that is so crazy that you go, I can't believe people do this. When Charlie tells this story, he's so calm and
Yeah.
understated
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
hard to believe he was that fucking nuts,
Well,
but he was.
He tells them with humility.
Yeah.
Right? It was almost like he was, not that he was ashamed, but he was like, "Yeah, I had a bunch." How many do you have? 350.
Did you see the news came out that Charlie had a Honus Wagner card? I forgot what it said. I think he sold it for like $300,000. Now it's worth like $3 million or something. But,
Yeah, Jesus.
didn't
Oh,
see
no.
it.
Charlie
Wow.
also bought the Bill Buckner ball.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah,
he
yeah.
bought the Bill Buckner ball for like nothing and sold it for.
Which reminds me, how
We
about
should talk to Charlie about
wanna-
his sports memorabilia.
what do you
collection.
think
It's
about the
pretty-
guy who bought the Tom Brady last touchdown ball for $518,000?
And now he's playing again.
Is that worthless now, or
Is there?
It's got to be worth something.
Kev, you might. This is a good question that I'd like to know the answer to. There's got to be, if you buy that from a collector, if you paid however much money for it, what was it, 500,000?
yeah? Can you get your money back?
Or that there's some kind of a clause that, like, hey, in the event that he should come
No
back.
shot. That would be like if it's worth $10 million, I want a
The
piece of it
ball
later.
does have a little history of its own, though, because he did retire before he came
So
back. I
now
don't
it-
know. It
right.
still has.
What do you think about
it still
this?
So now
holds,
it's the fake retired
it's the-
ball.
Yeah, exactly.
What
It's
do you
a one
think
of a kind
about
ball
this thing?
Still.
Definitely one of a kind.
What do
By
you
the
think
way,
about
I
this
said Tom
retirement?
Brady was coming back all along. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I do.
Yeah,
But what
I
I
knew
mean,
he
do
was
you
coming
think he
back.
was really like? What is?
I think he wanted the MVP, which he deserved.
I don't.
I swear to God, and they figured, and he thought maybe if he was retiring, they'd be more likely to give it to him, which they should have.
Oh,
when
you
look
think?
at the,
Oh, wow.
when you look at his stats, I mean, his stats.
We
are
get some
insane.
press out of
By the
Kevin
way,
Dillon's
you
got
know
a
what?
hot take
By
on
the way,
that.
that's a really good. So your thought, like, look, I'll say I'm retiring. I should
Yeah,
get the
maybe
MVP
I'll get the
anyway,
MVP,
but this will
yeah.
knock it over the goal line. So to
You would
speak.
think.
Pardon the bad pun.
But they decide like so early in the season that
my
who's good. You know, they decided
Brady
that,
and Cooper Cup should have split that MVP. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers should get shit.
is that certainly Tom Brady, but any athlete earns the right to go home, rest your body up, look around, have a real talk with your family. And my guess is, again, Kev, you perked up my conspiratorial ear pods. I feel like he went home, sat, relaxed, and, I think probably his family, probably had a deep talk with his family, and they said, hey, if you got one left, if you got one more round, go for it. I don't know. That would be my guess.
It's so hard to.
But I like this
think
new
he
theory.
I think he was planning on playing the whole time. So these guys hate training camp too. So I thought
that's
maybe
what I thought, too.
he wasn't going to announce until after training camp.
But he
so
would have
he-
screwed the team for free agency and all this. I
also
don't know. It's
Tom
interesting.
Well,
Brady,
not
Tom
if they know about it.
We talked about this on the show. Connolly and I got in trouble.
Brady's a guy
Connolly.
that goes.
He goes to camp.
He's got
But Connolly,
Yeah.
we got in trouble because we talked about paid parental leave for the fathers, remember? And a bunch of people like texting me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But the truth of the matter is, he's got 3 young kids. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody wants to be home with their 3 young kids all day and all night. They just don't. He probably went home. A couple
he's
of
got a bunch
tantrums
of
at the
nannies.
house, and he went, I know.
He still gets to see those kids all the time.
I'm sure his kid said, Dad, if you want to go, you should go one more. You should go one more.
When I went to the Rams game in Whitworth's suite, Andrew Whitworth,
Who retired, by the
with
way.
his wife and his kid. Oh, did he?
Yeah, today.
Yeah, he pulled the trigger today.
Well, I'm glad I got
Congrats to Andrew.
I'm glad I got to hang out in his suite watching him play with his kids running around. It was just great.
Oh,
Kevin
they
and
must
I-
be
So
big kids,
cool.
by the way.
What's that? They're big kids. Yeah.
Kevin and I played the par 3 at Sherwood. It's an 18-hole par 3.
It's a really good par 3.
It's amazing. And Dillon was like, should we go knock on Whitworth's door?
Oh, my God. Leave
gonna
poor
go-
Whitworth alone.
we're
He
gonna
had
go-
enough of you that night.
We're going to go Christmas caroling over there.
Christmas caroling. And you know, it's funny because, I'll say it. Kelly Stafford, I told Kelly Stafford the story. She said, the Whitworths would open the door and let you right in.
Oh, yeah.
And
They're
you'd
great.
probably still be hanging out there.
They're so great.
They're awesome. So, but
By the way, Kevin hit the ball really well on that par 3.
Thank you
I'm
very
not going to
much.
lie.
do you think Whitworth is really retired, though? Do you think this is a ploy?
I think he's
I think
retired.
he is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
different when you're an offensive lineman.
40-year-old offensive lineman.
Maybe
who's
he skips
badass.
camp.
Maybe.
No, I think he's done. I think he's got big goals, and I think he's got a lot of other stuff going on. But Russell Wilson's on the Broncos. Connolly's boy. What do you think about that?
That's not my boy, bro.
I thought it was
have
your
some-
boy, Doug.
Doug's got some weird beef
I-
with Russell Wilson.
I don't have any beef. The movie didn't do well. I never heard from the guy again.
Is that what it was?
I have no idea.
Did he
I have no
unfollow you
idea.
after the weekend box office?
I
numbers?
think it was
might
pretty
have been-
close to that.
Maybe because you cut him out a little bit there,
I mean, I
huh,
sent
Doug?
Cut him out. What are you talking
I sent the guy to Cabo for a free trip to Discovery to Melvin's
Oh, here it
place. He
comes.
bought a
This
house.
is
I
where
never heard
Doug's
from him
gonna
again.
start
That's
airing
it.
out his
You
grievances.
did
I have
cut,
no grievances.
You did cut his part down a little bit.
He didn't deliver. What are you gonna do? He also overthrew Connolly.
He
but,
also broke my leg.
Nah, I'm not a big fan of. Listen, we all know this business. I'm not a fair weather guy. I've been friends with people when they're up, when they're down, and we're all ways of
So
sideways.
you feel like he unfollowed you on Instagram when your career took a slight dip?
To be honest with you, I don't really give a shit either way. I'm still on his Instagram as like listed as his best friend. Like at one point.
Yeah,
So
he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He loves
you don't know him, Dillon.
He didn't swipe
Yeah, I
you.
do.
He didn't swipe you from the Instagram. He just unfollowed you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you know,
I'm
but the
just
bottom
asking,
line is,
I'm just
you
asking.
know me. I fucking hold a grudge. I asked him to be on this
no,
podcast.
no, you?
I asked him to be on this podcast, and he did not respond. To me, he's dead to me. It's just that simple. There's nothing else to say. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. Like
you
when
go.
he asked me to be on,
If you were walking down the street-
let me finish. When he asked me to be on his favorite fucking show, when he's never acted a day in his life, I put him on. I asked you to be on our podcast that, by the way, blows away his podcast.
That's
It's
for
already been
sure.
canceled. You fucking call me
coulda
back
zoomed
and you
in.
tell me you're
He
on.
coulda zoomed
That's
in.
all. And
He coulda zoomed in.
You know, I have. You know what? At 53, I got no problem with I cut you off and you're dead to me, and it's just that
You
simple,
don't have a problem
you
with
know?
that.
So, and we're gonna, and you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna be back on top again, and they'll start calling again and asking to be on, and I'll do what I did last time, which is take care of everybody and look out for everybody. And the ones that stick will stick, and the ones that don't,
Let's say
the ones that don't call me for
let's say-
golf when they're in
Let's say,
town,
let's
let's
say
see what happens.
theoretically Ramble On picks up a little steam,
Yeah.
and Russell Wilson out of the blue reaches out to you. Hey, what's up, Doug? Do you just ignore him, or do you say?
I, honestly,
That's a
I'll
ridiculous
never
question.
respond
It's a
to him
ridiculous
again.
question.
No, I'm being very serious. I'll never respond to him again. Never, ever. If I saw him on the street, I'm not gonna like turn my back on him. But he'll
Would
never.
you pretend like you didn't see him if you were at a restaurant? You could avoid him.
I wouldn't head over to his table.
You'd make him right.
Yeah, it was like when Ari made you come up to the office, or was it Terrence maybe? But you know, again, I don't have any bitterness about it. I have a very clear vision of what I'm trying to do and the people I'm trying to surround myself with now, and I'm done with the full of shit people. I really am. Done with the opportunistic people. I don't have any time for it.
Are you
So-
upset right now?
Not really.
You wound up?
I'm upset that
You wound
I'm
up.
upset that you think
I
like it
didn't-
makes me angry or
I'm
something. I'm not angry about it.
Dude,
I-
I'm Joe Rogan.
I
I'm just asking questions.
I know
I'm just
how
asking
loyal
questions.
I am to people, and I know how much I've delivered for people. And when they don't do the same, I find
Wouldn't
them.
have killed him to jump on his.
Here's what I feel, Doug. I feel he might not even know that you're upset. I
must
think if
now.
you were walking down the street and you ran into each other, you'd be like, "Hey, Doug," he'd probably give you a big hug, not
I don't
knowing
want
that
a
you.
big. I don't want a big hug.
Come here,
I wanted
come here.
him.
Give me a hug.
I wanted him on the
You want me to
podcast.
give you a big
By
hug?
the way, I don't want him on the podcast anymore. And what I wanted to talk about this is, do you think he'll win a Super Bowl? Because that's the only way I'd even allow him on this podcast. He'd have to win a Super Bowl.
Now he literally has to win.
has to
in
win
Denver.
and an MVP.
and an MVP to get on Victory on the podcast.
I would say that's a fair
Oh,
trade-off.
you're
Right?
killing me.
Yeah.
That's fun. Listen, I think Dillon is wrong about that, Dillon. I think that he knows that Doug doesn't like him, and for whether or not he care, whatever it is, but I think Doug has sent the message pretty clear. You guys have enough friends in common, right?
We got enough friends in common.
Have you sent official word?
No, because there's no word. Again, you're trying to rile me up.
No, I'm not.
I don't give a shit.
I'm rambling, I'm rambling on, bro.
Honestly,
I'm rambling
don't
on.
care one
Ramble
bit.
on.
I think the most important thing you can do when you're 50 is cut every waste of space that you can in your life. If they don't like add value to your life, if they use you for things, you got to get rid of them. It's just that simple.
Interesting.
You don't think so?
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
like
get you
that.
wound up.
I
didn't
like
mean to
that
get you
statement
wound
there.
up. I'm sorry if I got you wound up.
Stop talking about this. Fucking Russell, he never called me back.
So you have in closing, no creative fears. Let's just fucking go.
I mean, look, I have creative fears always. I know I delivered on the first one. Do I know I can deliver on 95 more like we did on that? Of course not.
Well, of course not.
If
Well,
you're
that's
otherwise, you're an arrogant schmuck to think that. I know that I love what we have. I know I'm ready to bust my ass and dig in and do the best I can. That's what I know.
All right. I like it. And by the way, I'm looking at you. The confidence is real. It's real. So that's good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen.
Doug Ellin, bro.
You put yourself out there, and you're not afraid of what comes next, and I applaud you for that. That's
We
all.
got limited time on this earth, my friend. Even if the lights come back on, I'm going to make
This
the most of it
guy's
right
acting
now.
like
Okay?
he's fucking 102 years old, bro. Doug, give yourself a little credit. You're still pretty good at pickleball. All right. That wraps up another episode of the Kelly Stafford. I'm sorry. What was that?
Look at that
kidding.
laugh. What a
I'm
creepy
kidding.
laugh,
I'm
right?
kidding.
Yeah, he's a creepy dude.
He's a creepy dude.
Are you going to give the sign off now, too? Or-
No, you good. You do it.
That wraps up another episode of Victory the Podcast. I'm Doug Ellin.
I'm Kevin Dillon.
I'm Andrew Whitworth. Victory.